Hi guys, today we're gonna be talking about Natasha, Jonas and Terri Harper. It's fucking boiling. So I'm bored, so I'm gonna make a video. We're gonna make a video on it. But I am now because things haven't pissed me off, but like people are over like reacting. So to give you some hindsight, I've never been overly interested in women's boxing. I have watched plenty of women's fights, but you know those fights where you like the fighter you're really into. So for me, there's three tiers of fights. There's fights I'm really into where I'm thinking, fuck the scorecards, I'm just gonna score it afterwards. The only fight that was really into that I scored was Sean Porter and Errol Spence. Yeah, so those fights where it's like, fuck, I'm gonna not score. I'm not gonna not bother, I might score it after. Then you have the fighter you score, the fighter you're like interested in, but like there's not enough in it to distract you from the scoring, and then there's the fighter I don't, and there's the rare fights I don't bother with. Now, women's boxing has been those fights that I have watched, but I've never really been into, for reasons I'll explain later. Now, Terri Harper and Tasha Jonas, the biggest women's fight in the UK, arguably ever. I mean, Katie Taylor has been big in the UK, but like, not she haven't had a big British woman to come in and fight her. Like, all her opponents, I believe, have been foreign, and that shows the lack of depth. And that's one of the things I have against women's boxing. Now, this fight was good, but Terri Harper, WBC IBO champ, make what you will of the IBO. You had Tasha Jonas. Yeah, I think the Orbanoff victory was bad. The defense is awful. I mean, Orbanoff isn't too technical. You can see the shots a mile away. Her defense was awful that night. But like, use a triangle effect. Like, if fighter A beats fighter C, but fighter B loses to C, it doesn't mean A smashes B. And there's a triangle effect in the 90s, if I'm trying to remember top of my head. I can't think of a third guy, so I won't use it. But I'll give you the two names: Junior Jones, Brera, and there was one else I can't remember his name. Apologise. So if this was a cracking fight, this is the first women's fight. I gotta be honest, guys. While I was watching, Joshua Reese won. I admit I took a sleep. I took half an hour doing the Taylor Pursuit. Not so much. You could call it sexist or whatever you like. It's just women's boxing doesn't have the knockouts as such as a man does. Some technique lacks. But the one thing I will give women credit for is they'll fight anyone just to get women's boxing on a map. So going into Terri Harper, Tasha Jonas, cracking fight. I mean, I think I didn't like Joe Gallagher's build up. I thought him in a Smith camp, I just didn't like what they did. I thought they took it too far. On some comments on Twitter, I'll leave you. There was yourself. And one comment he said was Terri Harper throws 18-20 punches a round. That might have gone ahead because he was throwing a high volume in this. A high volume. And you could see Jonas was doing the cleaner work. I thought that Terri Harper's way to win. So if it makes sense, I thought Terri Harper's way to win was come forward, body shots to slow the older woman down. And I thought Jonas's way to win was counter punching when she comes forward. I didn't think Jonas leading off would have done her any favours, to be honest. I thought she could maybe jab now and again, maybe draw Terri Harper in, maybe throw a counter left hand or a right hook over the jab. I thought her counter punching. So basically, Terri Harper's way to win suited Jonas. Do you get me? I think for Terri Harper, she could have boxed Jonas, but I don't know. I don't know if she would have won boxing. I mean, I talked about the triangle thing, the triangle effect in boxing. And another thing we can never miscount for is the amateur experience, and I also think that Terri Harper, yes, make her a favourite, but she was a massive favourite when she had never checked the betting odds, but she was a big favourite, I think. Something like 1-6 or 1-8, I think. And yeah, I just didn't make sense of that. I thought there was not a 50-50, I thought it was a 60-40 Harper, sorry. But I thought the way people were talking as if it was 80-85%, then Harper was going to win. I'll go into a fight a bit, but I think that after beating Eva Wallstrom, who was a good fighter by the way, comfortably the way she did, and she took Albin off comfortably, who lacks technique, was a decent fighter to test yourself against. I think, excuse me, fucking hell. There's kind of a hype train starting, and then in advance, I think the day of the fight it was announced they were signing Ewa Brodnicka for WBO champ. I think, and I actually said this, and there's no proof of it because the video I was going to put up is deleted. But I think Ewa Brodnicka has a way to go. I don't think Terri should go near the IBF champ. I think Hamadouche is dangerous. She just walks through the shots and knocks her out. Basically, she is one of the, I'd say she's the biggest puncher in women's boxing at the moment. So yeah, I thought the odds were a bit too far. So in the fight, it was a really good fight. You had Harper coming forward. I thought the third round was the most dominant for Harper. I mean, yes, Jonas hurt Harper. She didn't hurt her crazily, but she was hurt. You could tell her legs kind of went. I think I think they both hurt each other. They both had the power to hurt each other. I don't think Jonas has a great chin or defense. I think Terri Harper has a decent chin, but we've seen her get hurt. I think Jonas has power. Now, it was a case of Terri coming forward for a win volume, and then you had Jonas counter punching in certain spots, counter punching in the pocket. Sometimes opting to stay in the pocket, sometimes coming out the pocket. And I thought Terri Harper done nice work in the pocket as well. But for some periods it was too long. Like, she had the longer reach, I believe. The height anyway. I think it was best to use that. I mean, yeah, I did think she had to come forward and rough her up. But I also thought she had to be educated with that jab away in and don't stay in the pocket for too long. Jab, throw a couple of body shots, come out the pocket, not reset, but you know. So it was that sort of fight. Now, I thought the cleaner work did come from Jonas, but sometimes I did like Harper's volume punching. Now, Harper in spots had good volume punching that landed. So I think it was 3 rounds in the fight, 2 or 3 rounds that were really like 50-50 rounds. So I can understand why one judge had a 6-4 to one and one had a 6-4 the other. That's my opinion. I scored a draw. I'll go into what I think now. But there was times where she was landing nice work, and so we had a couple of rounds that were really close. Now I scored this fight to draw 5-all. Don't forget women's boxing's 10 rounds, not over 12. And yeah, it wasn't a robbery. It was a close fight. Even Joe Gallagher has come out and said it wasn't a robbery. He thought Jonas won, but so if he even says it's not a robbery, then it's not a robbery. And a lot of boxing YouTube channels are putting robbery in their titles. I think it's just for clickbait, and I'm gonna call them out on that clickbait. I like watching G-Man and I like watching Sporting Icons, and I get that their YouTube careers are probably of more importance to them than mine. Like, I don't want to clickbait. This YouTube thing is not a career for me, something I do for fun. On going sidetracking a bit, I do this YouTube just in case people down in Dumpson just want to come and watch me, like I do with some people. You know, it's up to people what they want to do. Now back to boxing, I think that using Robbie in a clickbait, no, just no. But I understand why. For just a clickbait, because I think they take their careers more seriously. This ain't even a career, me on YouTube. Right. It wasn't a robbery. It was a close fight. Could have gone either way. I had a draw. There was quite a few swing rounds in there, so I could see either side. And I could see the draw. As soon as I heard 95, I knew it was a draw, because I couldn't. There was no round you could give 10-8. So, or 10-10 rather, actually. You could give them a couple of 10-10 rounds, bro. I'm not a fan of 10-10 rounds, I'll say that now. I'm not a fan of rounds drawing. That's my opinion. So it was a great fight, and it has put women's boxing more on the map. I think Katie Taylor's done a brilliant job. Although I think Sky are pushing a feminist agenda, I believe, which I understand, but I don't think it's correct. I think that what they've done for women's boxing, I think Eddie's done more for women's boxing than any other promoter has. Straight up. But I don't think for feminist agendas, etc. There's also other agendas, but I'm not going to tell you what I think they are. So yeah, not a robbery in my eyes. Are we going to the undercard? Akim Fiaz and Kane Baker was called off. I felt really sorry for Kane Baker. I didn't think he was going to win. But the interesting thing with Akim Fiaz is he's not a noted puncher. His record's 5-0 without the knockout. So I think when he fights, he's tough journeyman on the way up. Like Kane Baker's a high level journeyman. He's won the Midlands area, so I think he's an area level fighter / a high journeyman. I could say he's a fringe area, but anyways, he pulled out. He did look to me a bit fleshy on the scales. He missed weight actually, and Kane Baker was cheesed off. I feel sorry for Kane. We had Nathan Tolley and Chris Wilsmith. Why was that fight second on the card? I think it should have been co-main. Or did they already get a sense of our fight being competitive? That's why they chucked it down. Nathan Tolley coming up from light heavy. It's tricky because, and I seen React put a comment on that saying should there be a weight division in between them. I don't know. I mean, it could be a 185 division, but you could argue there's too many weight divisions in boxing. I mean, the 180. I mean, yeah, they had to move cruiserweight up to 200 to accommodate smaller heavyweights of the early to mid 2000s, because that was when the Klitschko started coming up, and the normal size was 240, 250, 6'6". So when you had the guys 6'2", 6'3", 215, 220 who struggled. Like Chris Bird's an example of that. I think even though he was a decent skilled guy, you know. So Nathan Tolley and Chris Smith, I give credit to Tolley. He tried to assert a game plan, but he knew Bill himself was too strong, and then in the second round, after he got dropped, he decided, I admire a guy who goes out on a shield rather than, I don't know what the word is, and I don't want to sound too harsh. I just admire a guy who goes out on a shield. And he came and it was a shootout for a minute, 40 seconds a minute. I went really high pitched when he landed that right on Bill himself. I knew that Bill himself was a tough guy, and Nathan Tolley is not the biggest puncher in the world, but when you see it, I just got too excited. Like that underdog thing, and he was Welsh, so I have to back my Welsh guy. It's Tolley and Bill himself was like Gwyn and tennis, and I thought the English guy was going to win, but you got to back your Welsh guy. It was objective, and I'm not saying I weren't objective, I was just, there's hope there. Next fight was Hobie Price and Johnny Phillips. I saw a lot of comments saying he looked homeless. I mean, harsh. Johnny came and gave it. That's what you want for a 2-0 prospect. As someone who's coming to win, you don't want a journeyman that's going to come and sit and lay on the ropes and let you tee off for 6 rounds. I thought he done quite good. I think because he's 3-0, I'm still reserving judgment on him, and he's 20, so his batting strength will come in the next 5 years, perhaps. Excuse me. But I thought it was a good performance. Anthony Fowler followed me on Instagram because I commented I thought he boxed great, decent tonight, and I thought he's learnt off a Fitz loss. Now Fowler has always been that fighter. He was 9-8 KOs. He was blasting out journeyman, and he's one of those fighters that's like he blasts out journeyman, and when he goes to a higher level, he has to think more. And I think blasting out this is not an excuse from losing the Fitz, but I think matching him with just straight journeyman or gatekeepers and then putting them straight up the British level, I think that's wrong. I think you got to give him a fight that the guy's going to come to win and put it on you before going up in levels, because when that's just going to hit you like a ton of bricks, like Fitzgerald done to Fowler. He didn't batter him or anything. It was close fight. So I knocked him in the 10th. Arguably won Fitz our fight. I had in 96, 93. What is what is. And yeah, both the first 3.5 rounds he boxed great. His jab was good, and he was tracking him down. And I thought his jab was so fluid. I think when he boxes loose, he's great. He goes back. I think when he boxes loose, you could see why he won a gold medal of the amateurs after Commonwealth. Why he was on the GB team. I think that's the best I've seen him box in his career. The first couple of rounds, he hurt him in the 4th. He dropped him in the 4th, didn't he? Then I think I started going out the window a bit. Started rushing, and we got him out to 7th. Tough guy. Sky kept saying they could have pulled him out earlier. Yes, they could have pulled him out earlier, but I think it would over dramatising it. I think Fowler boxed great in the early part, and I want to see you if he comes to fight Cheeseman. I want to see our jab being used instead of him coming in jab hook or jab right hand hook, or swinging away, putting hand up, sending into everything. It's alright to do the tippy tapper punches sometimes. I think that's how Cheeseman does alright when he doesn't go into war. I think if our fight's made, Cheeseman cannot just walk forward and take shots in the face. I think Fowler has respectable power. I think you just can't do that against Fowler. But yeah, it's the best I've seen Fowler box. In the first 3.5 rounds anyway. Certainly the first 3 rounds are a great example of how he's come under Shane McGuigan. Shane McGuigan's made him more loose, more fluid. I think Shane McGuigan's an excellent trainer, and he could be one of the best in Britain right now. Anyways, that Tasha, Jonas and Harper win a robbery. I just don't think it was. Anyway guys, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.